Hi, guys. Thanks for listening to my podcast. This is my fourth episode where we're talking about balanced eating and portion control for losing weight and even just maintaining weight for a healthy lifestyle without going on an extreme diet. Um, I hope you're listening to this series in order. Again, this series is for anybody who wants to lose weight or just maintain weight or just lead a healthier lifestyle. Especially if you've been on extreme diets and kind of want to get away from them and just learn nutrition 101, going back to the basics. So, in order to learn nutrition 101, going back to the basics, learning the physiology of our body and what it actually needs and what foods are good for us based on our individual needs. We have to unlearn all of the diets, right? This is what the series is about. We need to stop running towards keto, towards Weight Watchers, towards juicing. In order to lead a healthy lifestyle. We need to get off that yo-yo, that hamster wheel, that cycling of going to an extreme when we want to get to where we want to go. So in this step of the process, we're going to learn balanced eating and portion control. So in the episode prior, I talked about, our essential nutrients, macronutrients, carbs, proteins, fats. So when we manipulate those three, we get towards our goal of weight loss or muscle gain. And that depends on your activity level and also the diseases and conditions that you may currently have. So again, everyone is different. Going back to those diets, like the keto diet, you're cutting an essential nutrient, you're going to lose some weight, but again, it's not sustainable. It could lead to some issues, and it also depends on the health issues that you already have, like diabetes. And I kind of talked a little bit about the Mediterranean, quotations, holding my hands here, diet. Not really a diet, it's just more of a lifestyle, eating patterns and habits and behaviors in a geographical region. Now, going back to those three macronutrients that we need carb, protein, and fats. So, one, you need the right amount, the right proportions of each for either weight loss and then, let's say, weight maintenance and maybe muscle gain. So maybe a male who's wanting to gain some muscle. So let's first go to the average person who may be looking to lose some weight. The thing you want to manipulate is all three. Okay, so the proportions of all three of these will equal the total amount of calories you are intaking in your diet. So I kind of talked about the grams, the calories per grams of each, and how fat has the most calories per grams. So a little trick for weight loss is basically manipulating that carb and protein. So you want to make sure that you're getting more protein than carb. So when you go to your meals, think about your first priority should be protein. Protein is going to make the meal more satisfying. You'll get the most kind of bang for your buck, so-called, where you're getting the right nutrition, you feel satisfied, and it's leaner, it may be a little less calories, as opposed to going for a carb that may have a less nutrient density. Nutrient density is when it's high density, it's good, right? So there's the least amount of carbs with the most amount of nutrients. That's why they call a lot of vegetables superfoods, like kale. There's like 10 nutrients, right? And it's just one thing, and it's very low carb and low calorie. So rather for reaching for a piece of bread, think about switching, going for a protein, and on the side, a piece of carb. So your main focus is that protein. It's more satisfying, it's leaner, less calories, and there'll be a less increase in blood sugar, which could lead to weight gain, supposedly. That's a whole other topic. So, protein, okay? Then you're gonna pair it with a carb, because if you just have protein and fat, like I said before, on a keto diet, you're going to go for cravings, you're going to have more cravings, you're going to be fatigued. You need this for sustained energy. When we add a carb, when we add a protein or a fat to a carb, all right, we're going to have a piece of toast. If we add avocado in the right portion, again, because avocado is high calorie. So, again, portioning and manipulating the carb protein fat ratio. So, having a piece of toast, it's better if it's whole grain. There's more fiber and more nutrients, right? So fiber is going to help lower our cholesterol. It's going to help in digestion, all those great benefits. Whole grain versus whole wheat versus white bread processed. So adding some of that avocado, okay? Avocado is a healthy fat. It's a unsaturated fat. So you want to go for, again, the quality. You want to go for the healthier versions. Unsaturated fats versus saturated fats, like butter or animal products, cheese, things like that. So I like to say aim for the healthier version. The healthier version to me is the thing that has the more nutrition, the product with the most vitamins, the most minerals, that is helping your physiology, your cells, your metabolism in some way. Okay? So that's unsaturated fats versus saturated fats. But again, that portion control. You don't want to use the whole avocado. That has a lot of calories. It's almost 400 calories and a little bit too much of your fats per meal. So you want to aim for at least, 15 to 20 grams of fat per meal, 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, and carbs, it kind of depends. 25 to can range to 55 grams of carbs per meal. Depending on your goals, if you're working out. So your day to day might very well vary. But so again, balance. We have that carb. Pairing the carb with a protein or a fat source, fat like avocado. Egg has fat. Egg whites is just protein, no fat. That is going to help lower the blood sugar spike, which is more efficient for your body to use as fuel. You're going to be feeling fuller longer. You're going to have better sustained energy rather than just grabbing an apple. Why? Because you grab an apple, it's all sugar. Especially if you take the skin off, all sugar. If you keep the skin on, there's some fiber, which helps in keeping that blood sugar spike a little low and not spiking high. It's just fructose. It's just plain old sugar. And it's not that it's bad. It's just going to spike your blood sugar. You're going to have all this energy and then you're going to get almost like a crash. Now, eating just pure carb sugar like that, and it's fruit, it's great, it's healthy, it has lots of vitamin C, there's water content as well, and there's some fiber. It's great for a pre-workout snack. So if you're going for a run and you need some fuel as energy, and it doesn't bother your stomach, for those runners or people working out, you want to have a simple carb. That's called a simple carb. A complex carb is going to have fiber and more starches and whole grains. That would be bread, potatoes, corn, anything along bread, okay? So that's the quantity. That's the quality of it. So good versus bad carbs, right? Why are there good carbs? Why are there bad carbs? Like I said, the health world is making good carbs. They're naming good carbs. Why are they naming good carbs? Good carbs are complex starches. They have fiber. They have lots of minerals, other vitamins that help your body. So you're getting more bang for your buck rather than just spiking your blood sugar. And it's going to help you feel fuller longer. You're going to have more energy, less elevated blood sugar spikes, which could lead again to insulin resistance and diabetes later if it's too high. That's an accumulation over time. Okay, so the bad carbs that society has deemed bad, the devil. I mean, you look at like Mean Girls and all those shows where they're like, we don't eat carbs. And it's super 90s and 2000s growing up then. It's like, that's all it was, right? So it's funny to see the shift, but it's kind of true when you look at nutrition that there are good or bad carbs, but it doesn't mean that those bad carbs are instantly going to make you fat. Like it's just so crazy that people say, "Oh my gosh, pizza makes you fat." No, having pizza, a whole pan of pizza by yourself every day, or just having the pan like multiple times a week, yes, it can make you gain weight, but having a pizza out with your friends once a week is not going to make you gain weight. It's the quantity, it's the binging, it's a deprivation leading to binging, and it's that mindset. It's very true that humans are, once we're told not to do something, we do it more, right? Don't have pizza. We're almost like little kids forever. Don't have pizza. We want that pizza. So that's kind of, how I think of these extreme diets. Deprivation just leads to binging, and overindulgences and going overboard. And that's what could hinder those with weight loss goals. If you're just maintaining, it may not be it's not a big deal to do those things. But when you're in that weight loss state, there's a border of that. So back to portion control. So back to meals, you're having carb, protein, fat. That's the most satiety fat. You want to, for the quality, we want to look at unsaturated fat versus saturated fat. Unsaturated fats are your healthy fats, your plant vegetable oils. Olive oil is the best to me. I'm Italian. Extra virgin olive oil is what I use in everything, my salads, cooking. I try to steer away from butter, creams, creamy dressings, things like that. They're going to have more of the saturated fats. So saturated fats, you want to have 2.5 grams per serving, no more than that. That's pretty high. And there's a lot of saturated fats in processed packaged snack foods, like crackers and things like that, things you wouldn't expect because saturated fats are mainly like dairy and animal products. So your meats are going to have some saturated fats. But it's okay, again, in portion. The dietary guidelines by the government say that you should stick to 2 red meats a week, 2 or less red meats a week, fish 3 times per week, plants, endless amounts of vegetables, and whole grains, they say 5 servings a day. That also varies. So back to our meal planning. So think of each meal as fueling your body. It's balance. You want to look at your plate. You want to have a nice complex carb with some fiber. You want to have a nice lean protein, eggs, chicken, turkey, any meat. If you're not doing meat or fish, it's more, you want to pair legumes, beans, which doesn't have all 9 essential amino acids, which makes it a complete protein. But if you pair a legume or a bean with rice or a grain, you're going to get 9 essential amino acids, which is a complete protein, which basically equals meat. Okay? So honestly, when we looked at nutrition, the most complete protein, the most efficient protein that your body needs you're going to get that from meat. And red meat is the only product that has B12, which is essential for all the energy metabolism on our body. But that's a whole different topic. So if you don't want to have meat, okay, fine. And if you're vegan, look for legumes and pairing that. Beans, pairing it with rice. So those, Mexican dishes, rice and beans pairing, they knew what they were doing back then. They knew they needed sustained energy and a complete protein when they didn't have meat. That was the peasant food. That was the peasant protein bro food, rice and beans. Little fun fact there. So that pairing we want to be doing. We want to shift our mindset to fueling our body. What's going to make me have that sustained energy for my day today? I have to go to work, then I'm going to the gym or I'm going out. How am I going to sustain my energy? Portion control. You want to look up the portion controls for serving. So a little tip, a carb or a starch, just instead of weighing, which I don't really advise, weighing and getting scoopers out. It's not sustainable either. You shouldn't really be living with a little food scale. Just kind of look at your plate, estimate. You only really need to look at these portion controls when you're losing weight. So this is basically for weight loss. Maintaining a little bit, but you can go, a little overboard probably with your current metabolism. For weight loss, portion of a starch like pasta, potato, bread, rice, it's the size of your fist. That's the serving, and that's probably going to give you, if it's rice, potato, or pasta, that's going to be around 40 to 50 grams of carbs, which is enough for the meal. You can have more because guess what? Depends what you're eating the rest of the day. That's why you can sometimes afford to have a pizza for dinner, 2-3 slices, because you probably didn't eat, if you didn't eat carbs throughout that day and just had some vegetables or like a protein, you can afford to eat that. It's going to be higher calorie, but if you had less calories throughout the day, you can afford that if you're losing weight. So that's another thing where it's calories in versus calories out that we talked about in the prior episode. 3,500 calories equal 1 pound, and that goes over a week, whether you're losing it or gaining it. So I like to look at portion control and balanced meals for people who are losing weight, gaining weight, and weight maintenance. The difference is going to be the quantity, okay? So the quantity is going to depend on your current body weight, what your goal is. So if you want to lose weight, gain weight, muscle gain, or maintain. Okay, then secondly, it's going to depend on your activity level. Are you running every day? Are you weightlifting? How many times a week are you doing that? And kind of what you did that day. You can influx your intake of carbs based on your activity level if you're working out a lot, and especially for those who are looking for weight loss. So this is all where balance and moderation, knowing your body, knowing what you need specifically. Again, if you have PCOS, that is basically an insulin resistance that a lot of women get. It's pretty predominant nowadays. Those women have an insulin resistance. They need to watch their quantity, how much carb they're having a day and per meal. They want to watch that their blood sugar is not spiking too much. So they want to have those complex carbs. They want to pair with a nice protein and fat, which I think that everyone should be doing for a healthy, balanced life. So this is for anybody looking for, how can I be healthier on the inside? How can I fuel and nourish my body for everyday living, for longevity, to get the vitamins and nutrients I need, to up my immunity, for better digestive health, for better skin, things like that. And, you might be each part of your life adding, okay, I want better skin. What are the foods I can eat? What are the good oils that have vitamin E, seeds, nuts? So knowing how much you need at each meal is going to help. So again, carb, protein, fat at each meal. Around 50 grams of carbs. This is just an estimate. 50 to 80 grams of carbs at a meal. 25 to 30 grams of protein at a meal. 15 to 20 grams of fat at a meal. Fat is like cheese and butters and oils. You can look at your thumb. So that is like an ounce of cheese. So a serving of cheese. That's like just enough fat portion for your meal. On a tablespoon of olive oil, things like that. So protein can be the size of your palm. That's a chicken breast, a fillet of salmon. That's going to give you probably 25 grams of protein. So that's what you want to look at for your meals. Now, those portions are different for everybody. If you're a male trying to gain weight, you're going to have double of that. But you kind of want to use that as your multiplier, right? So if you're, a woman trying to lose weight, stick to those portion sizes. And I always like to do 3 meals a day. The key is consistency, keeping a routine, keeping a schedule so that you're not, skipping, binging, depriving, and going through that crazy cycle, not knowing what to eat. And just realizing that if you skip a meal or you eat 3 hours than you usually eat, that's okay. Like your body's not going to crash and die. We can go a few days without food, not too long, but that's not okay either. So you don't want to be extreme. Again, it's fueling your body, knowing what you need. If you know that you're going to go to the gym after work, you're working 9 to 5, you're going to go to the gym right after work at 5. What are you going to eat today? Okay, let's have a nice breakfast that's sustained energy, a carb and a nice protein, maybe some fat, a little oil for satiety. Then, okay, what are you going to eat for lunch? Well, it depends when you're eating lunch. If it's closer to work, maybe you would do 2 to 3 hours before your workout. Again, protein. Focus on the protein. Have some carb. Maybe lower in fat. Lowering the fat content before a workout it helps your digestion. People might just say it helps them feel better and things like that, So right after work, and if you feel sluggish before your workout, like you need energy, hydrate, number one. But also, you could just go for a coffee. It depends on your body. If you feel better working out with, 3 hours that you haven't eaten, go for it. Your body's going to use stored energy. If you need a little energy source before your workout, you feel super sluggish, you have no energy left after that work day, that's okay. You can have, I would say, a simple sugar like an apple or a piece of fruit that your body's going to use right away, and it's kind of not going to slow you down by digesting so much. So simple carbs, they're first broken down in our mouth, so it's easier on our digestive system, especially for working out. Post-workout, I always say a carb and a protein. If you're losing weight, maybe just a protein, but you want to fuel your body later on. You don't have to eat right after you work out. You can wait a little bit. A lot of bodybuilders or these fitness people say you need to eat right after. If you're, a big guy and you're trying to gain all this muscle, yeah, you want to eat after, but the anabolic window, that's a whole nother realm for bodybuilders and for muscle gain. So carb and a protein, again, losing weight, you want to manipulate that. Higher protein, think of higher protein every meal, lowering the carb, but still having the carb. Don't go for a super low carb diet, okay? It just comes down to portion control and the quantity you're eating throughout the day. Again, if you're going out later that day and you're going to have fries and a burger throughout the day, go on about your day. try to eat, a little better. Try to have some protein and some vegetables throughout that day to fuel you. Um, just thinking about fueling and nourishing your body really can pivot and shift your mindset. Um, Especially when you're losing weight. We all want to think about deprive, like starve, starve, starve. Um, and it's basically mental, that starving. It's like, imagine if you're on a stranded island and there's nothing, like, you just want more. You really just want a big juicy steak when you're on the island, and, like, burgers and fries. You don't even want a piece of fruit. So it's that mindset that we talked about in the first episode. Um, and I always talk about not binging or depriving, looking at fueling your body. Our body runs on carbs, proteins, and fat. When it doesn't have one source, it starts breaking down the other in our muscles, in our fat deposit. And the worst is really when it breaks down muscle, and that's severe starvation and eating disorders, which is a later, more intense topic. But balance and portion control, knowing how many you need. We talked about it, looking at each meal, not calculating every little morsel, but with weight loss, it helps to know, what you're drinking, what you're getting, in drinks or little snacks here or there. Snacks, again, I try to say people losing weight, snacks just focus on a protein or a vegetable with a little bit of fat. And kind of steering away from these protein bars, things like that. There's just added sugars that some of them can even look like a candy bar if you read the nutrition label. So nutrition is really basic. We need all three macronutrients. We need carbs, we need protein, we need fat. I cannot stress this enough. The quantity matters, and as well as the quality. For quality control, you don't need 100% all the time. It's life. It's not going to happen. I like to do, there's that 80-20 rule. Not necessarily either. It's just like, if you can have the most nutrients and get the most bang for your buck, why not? If you can find a tasty option, why not? Um, so, choose your battles. It's thinking about those food swaps. In weight loss, fruit, can be great, but it's also looking at the quantity of fruit. There's sugar, fruit. For diabetics, fruit equals a carb. So for weight loss, it's kind of the same thing. Fruit equals a carb. So you can add it, and just pick and choose your battles. Really focus on nourishing and fueling your body. Say it again, nourish and fuel. Wake up and say, how am I going to fuel my body? How am I going to nourish it? How am I going to move my body? Exercising, again, is going to be moderation, not extremes. You don't need to sweat like a pig and, like, go into a sauna every day. You don't need to, like, have your legs give out and fall on the floor. Okay. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. Actually, we're going to talk about exercise and, going off those extremes. So again, no deprivation, no extremes, no binging. We are nourishing and fueling our body. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a lot. We're going to talk more about portion control and balanced eating in moderation in a later episode. Stay tuned for my next episode. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. Stay strong.